did spot one. Wow, holy crap. It is way back there too. Look at this. I shouldn't even be doing this. Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode on 539. So, I apologize for the sound. We are actually in a kind of a crazy location. Directly behind me is a very, very large, fully functioning tire factory, I believe it is. And right on the other side, and they actually had to change the roads around when they built this place, and on the other side now is this old 1800s graveyard, so I thought it'd be interesting to check it out. I don't know if it's been affected at all. It does look like I'm seeing some stuff back in the woods already. I'm not 100% sure on that, but you can kind of tell through the woods there that there is a large building on the other side, and even a little retaining wall right there too. Over on the very corner here is a little bench. I don't think it actually is supposed to be here. It looks like this is the scrap pile right there, so I'm not really sure on that one. But I wanted to check out what this was over here, because I couldn't tell if it was actually some stuff that had been left behind, or if maybe it was from somebody else's property even, as that's what it's looking like now anyway. So there's a few things back there, but it is just a empty space, and it looks like it might be a little park that was made for the employees when they take a break from the factory. But there are some historic items. You can see this old bed frame that's right here, so that's kind of interesting. I don't know why it made its way all the way here to the edge of the graveyard, but there it is. And I always do seem to find some fairly interesting old abandoned items like that in the back of these historic graveyards like this. Yeah, I don't know if sometimes they end up getting used for sort of trash piles for local farms or whatever. Who knows, it was such a long time ago. But I did happen to notice that under this massive tree here, or bush or whatever it is, there is one little lost stone right there. And it does kind of look like somebody at some point has cleared it out a little bit, but yeah, just kind of laying there on its side now and needs to be put back up. And I'm seeing a lot of these homemade markers here that are just a simple square of concrete, and it looks like the inscription was even done with somebody's finger. And there's another one directly behind it here, and yeah, you can also tell that they have the same last name, all Walker, no years. It doesn't appear to be any first names anywhere on the stones, not even on the sides. And I did want to quickly go over and check out, there's a couple little Woodmen of the World monuments that are over here, but again, I wanted to look under this large bush right here. There is a large memorial in here actually too. And as you can see, they've actually placed it between two of these bushes, and probably was a lot smaller at the time. Obviously, when it was planted, would have been very small, and now has grown to the point where it's nearly covered up and almost completely hidden the markers from the rest of the graveyard. And there is one more on the other side here too. Peek in here real quick. Usually we end up finding stuff. Nothing on the first glance, but that always seems to be fairly normal as well. I am seeing a fairly large pile of cement, which looks more like just a scrap pile from maybe the last time they did a renovation back here. kind of hard to tell, but I don't think there's any lost stones back here. Although as it widens out and gets a little bit less dense, I'm thinking we might find a few things. I don't really know. It's looking clear to the eye. It does look like somebody's been back here recently and went through a lot of this, so maybe some stuff got caught and moved already, so who knows. You can see how cleared out it is now as compared to the other section that we were just in. This is actually a pretty large Woodman of the World monument right here. And as I've always said, they're mostly unique, and this one is no different. It has a shelf that's been built into it, probably something that was actually requested by the family, and quite an interesting assortment of goods on it as well. A couple vases to leave flowers in, an actual cement vase right here. Obviously they're all that way, but completely filled and then made to look like it has a growing plant inside of it. And of course, right directly behind it is another one, not quite as large. Looks to be maybe 7 or 8 feet tall. And then the one behind appears to be maybe 10 to 12. And no smaller stumps around this one. And the road directly behind it has seen quite a bit of damage. You can see that many of the stones have severed off or have been leaned back up against their other halves. And some of them are barely even existent anymore. Another interesting story on this memorial here. You can see that Walker, George, oh, it must be George Walker, I'm assuming. Maybe not though, I don't really know. You can see 1792 to 1867. Kind of an interesting little depiction of what I think is a leaf here. And it looks like this one here has actually been propped back up, but they have just put the top section of it into the ground. Although oddly, it kind of looks like they did cement it back in, and so maybe they couldn't find the other half. And we're getting close to the edge again. This is another, I think, homemade marker here. You can see barely any writing there. There is a name. It looks like Daniel Edith, maybe. And again, checking in the brush here, I'm not really sure. Yeah, it looks like there definitely is. As you can see, right here is a memorial, and then next to it is another one. And we're just a couple of feet now into the bush. You can see, that's pretty much all it took to exit that and get back out into the main section. I did want to head back up to the front and check that out as well, towards the entrance. This is interesting. So not the most unusual thing that we ever find, but it is a pretty rare find to see one of the Daughters of the American Revolution especially one specifically marked as a daughter of a Revolutionary War soldier. I'm assuming that's probably the stipulation for being a member of the group, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And so a pretty cool find here. I don't know if we're gonna find her father, who would have been a Revolutionary War veteran, or not. Lots and lots of large trees. So I'm really not sure what we're about to find. So this here is actually the road that I drove in on. There's a really, really steep hill at the very beginning. You see another one here that has been completely wiped out over time. And I'm assuming that this road has been redone several times. Obviously now it has a lot of blacktop on it, but you can tell how deep this root system is here. And it even has a few of the decorative plants, these little evergreens here that people plant next to the graves a lot, and it seems that they're a really hardy plant, and as soon as they get discarded they just end up rooting again and taking over whatever area they're in. I was kind of expecting to find something up here, but no signs of anything so far. Nothing has slid down the hill either, or that or it's been picked up. I'm not sure what this is. It looks like it might just be an old, large base that has nothing on top of it anymore. It does have a large, covered up sign here. You see it's from 1854. Although that's not always accurate, as we've seen in the past. A lot of times these places are already being used years and years before they are donated to a local church or whatever. And so a lot of times it's a family graveyard for maybe 10, 20 years before. There's another sign that's actually completely covered now. I don't know if it is throughout the entire year. I did spot one. Wow, holy crap. It is way back there too. Look at this. I shouldn't even be doing this since I'm only wearing sandals today, but I'm not going to leave it back here undocumented and actually hidden several of them. There's like almost a whole row. Look at this. There's one there. I'm not sure on this. That's wood. But more right back here. You can tell that they actually would have made several fairly large memorials. Oh, wow. I uncovered this one a little bit. You can't really see any of the writing or the names. But again, as I said, it is literally just right behind that sign that we walked up and read. And moving forward, there's even more. There's literally one right there. And another one right in front of me. You can see it's not a discarded one. Its top piece is actually right next to it. And you can see too how close we are to the road. And this is the actual historic fence line too. And you can see it right there. So we're literally just walking right along the edge of the fence line. So, a bunch more crazy finds, and an incredibly historic place that is, again, otherwise fairly decently cared for. Like, just strange. Yeah, it makes you wonder sometimes if even the people that are caring for the place really truly know that some of this stuff is here I would assume they must though, because during certain parts of the year, that fence, or no, excuse me, not fence, but that sign would be visible, and so it shouldn't be too hard to tell that there's stuff back there, especially during the fall and winter. And the sign doesn't look that old either. So, I mean, somebody would have had to seen something, I think. So, again, another place sort of chock full of history, loaded with a few mysteries. And yeah, if you guys know, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I think we've covered most of this place. And so I want to thank you all so much for joining in with me on this episode of 539. Again, make sure if you have not clicked that subscribe button, you click subscribe and follow along with us on the journey here about 4 times every single week. Make sure you stay tuned, and I'll see you all in our next adventure.